Welcome back to another video here at Kippax Cricket. Today we're going to be speaking about all things Kippax 50th year and Peter itself. My guest today is Chris Kippax, and I'll start by asking, where did Peter's love for cricket and bat making come from? Where did it all start?
When my dad formed this business in 1976, my grandfather Horace was a cricketer as well, played for Yorkshire second team with opened the batting with Sir Len Hutton. And then my dad went to school at Bedford Modern, and then when they relocated back up to Yorkshire, his love of cricket developed from there, and he continued his progression, played Yorkshire seconds, played Yorkshire first team, played 8 games, and that's really where his love of cricket really developed. And then he decided that he wanted to get into bat making. At that time, he decided to, in conjunction with my grandfather, to use his premises in Huddersfield. So he was there for about 10-15 years just making bats.
So when he first started, who did he learn off? Who showed him how to make bats?
He was taught by a guy called Eric Loxton, who was renowned in the industry as one of the best bat makers in the world. Mm-hmm. And he worked for Slazenger's for a long, long time. So Eric was the main guy that trained him into how to press, how to shape, how to fit, all the aspects of making cricket bats. And then when I came into the business in 2001, a few years before that, I used to go and see my dad at Ossett when the business was there, and Eric used to come in now and again, and then that's when I used to start learning how to make bats.
Originally the business started in Huddersfield for 15 years and then moved over to Ossett. Yeah. And that's where things started to really kickstart from there. Yeah,
I think that I can remember as a kid going down to J.S. Wright's and G.R. Green's and getting clefs, and then bringing them back up to Ossett, and then watching my dad and a couple of other guys that were working for him, how they used to machine those clefs and make bats and do the pressing and everything else. And I think that's really where my love of making cricket bats started.
And in terms of when did Peter decide to start planting his own trees and producing his own set beds? And
well, when he was a professional, before he really started Peter Kippax Sports Limited, he used to use Grey Nichols, and he used to go down every year to Grey Nichols in Robertsbridge, and he would always come back with 2 or 3 high quality cricket bats, and he used to tell me that their philosophy was that they used to make all their bats from all the trees that they planted. And that was something that really resonated with me. And in my previous career before coming into this, I used to work in the oil industry for Total Oil. And their philosophy was the same, that if you've got your own oil fields, then you can control your own output. And that's exactly what I did when I came into the business. My dad planted a number of trees. I think he planted enough for what he thought would be enough for his overall production. Mm-hmm. When I came in 2001, we significantly increased the number of trees that were planted.
So you said at Ossett, that's when you first got your taste for bat making and going and seeing how it was all done. But how old was you then?
I was 32 when I left Total Oil and then came into this in 2001. And then we just embarked on a fairly mass planting programme for the next 4 or 5 years, which is what we're seeing the benefits of now.
But even before that, you said that before you came into the business, you was helping your dad out or going down. And how old was you then when you first started, and you've seen it all?
I would say probably mid-20s. I was working in Nottingham and running in a region of service stations around Nottingham, Birmingham and around there, and up to sort of South Yorkshire. So if there was a couple of hours where I could sneak away and go and see my dad, then I would nip up to Ossett and go and see what was going on and have a couple of hours with him.
Obviously, I've heard stories about your dad making his own handles, and you've told me before that you used to spend your weekends making the cane handles and putting it all together. And obviously, it seems like you had a big passion and love for cricket as well, and making cricket bats very early on at that sort of age.
Yeah, absolutely. That was when I was probably that was when I was in my early teens. living in Rawdon, and that was the ideal way to make a bit of pocket money on a weekend.
So going from Ossett, the company then moved to Bradford.
Yeah, we moved to Lowmore. That was in about 94, 95, and had 5 or 6 years there. And then when my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's it was a bit earlier than that, probably about 93, 94, I decided then that it would be the right time for me to leave my career and then come in and take over from him.
And it's not all been smooth, but it's obviously quite rewarding in, building a legacy for your father and for your family, and, seeing the product you make be successful on the highest stage.
I think like any business, when I left Total and then came in to take over from my father, there's always challenges in any business that you come and take over. I think at that stage, what I realised is that the business needed to be underpinned by planting trees, so we could control our own destiny. I think it's very difficult for any cricket bat manufacturer these days just to make and sell enough cricket bats for it to be a viable business, which is why now our business is multi-pronged in the number of income streams that we've developed over the years.
So in terms of planting the trees, obviously I know along the tech, but from putting your sapling in the ground, what sort of turnaround time before that's then made into a bat?
Well, it starts before then, because you've got to have your own set beds. So once you've developed your set beds, you've got a 3-year duration for those sets to actually develop into saplings where you can go and plant. And then from when they're planted, you've got at least 15, 16 years until they're big enough to be able to make into cricket bats. And we work on 55 inch at circumference, hopefully 4 or 5 lengths, and then in general, you will get 40 to 50 bats out of that tree.
So to be successful in this business, you're always pretty much planning 20 years in advance for...
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And moving forward, in the next 5-year to 10-year plan, the plan will be to plant as many trees as we possibly can. And hopefully in 5 years, we'll be planting a minimum of 1,500 to 2,000 trees per year.
And in terms of from when your dad started the business to now, there's been a lot of changes in whether that's the drying process, the making process, pressing, whatever. What do you think's been the biggest change to make the bat product better?
Without a shadow of a doubt, investing in a very high-tech kiln, which gives us not only weight, it gives us moisture, so you can tie the two in and then make sure that when we get to our mean average on clefts, that we know that we're going to get bats that are going to be a really good size, a really good weight, and a perfect balance.
And in terms of the amount of clefts that we're churning out each year, what percentage are we keeping for ourselves, and what percentage are you, when you see a cleft, are you, picking it out and saying, right, I'll keep this to one side for us, and, out of, say, 1,000, what are we keeping to make into bats?
I think any cricket bat manufacturer similar to us, and there's not many that are structured the same way as we are, we do have that ability to be able to move to one side the clefts that we want to use for ours. So normally, because we make quite a big cleft here as well, it's bigger than the normal market average. I think that anything that we're hitting around 2 kilos, which is 4.4 pounds, I know that once it's brought to size and then reduced to size into relation to shape, that we're going to hit anything between 2.8 and 2.12, which is the 95% of the market. That's what you're going to sell bats at.
And every bat maker in the industry thinks that they're the best bat maker in the world. What separates you from everyone else? Like, obviously, we've just spoke about you being able to pick the lightest, biggest clefts to make the biggest bats. But is there anything different that you think that you do that makes us stand out as a company?
In relation to the bigger brands, where their main way of pressing is batch pressing, so everything will be pressed identically through a process, we're different, where we will press everything individually and it'll be done by me. Mm-hmm. So it'll be pressed in the cleft at first, and then it'll be partially shaped and fitted, and then I have a secondary press where I will move to and then make sure that bat, when it's coming out, is absolute optimum, because every single bat that has to go out of this door has to be a performing bat.
And just jumping back, we last spoke that we was in Bradford, but now the premises has moved to Methley. And is there any reasoning behind that? Do you know, like at the time, do you know?
The problem with Bradford was that we didn't have an outside yard. So we could only drop in 20 or 30 trees at one time. Where we are now in Methley, we have a nice big yard outside, and we can drop in anything between 100 and 150, 160 trunks at any one time, which gives us a hell of a lot more flexibility and be able to work the trees and the clefts as and when they become available.
So now we're to present day, I'd say, in Methley, and you know, sadly Peter passed away with dementia, and we've decided the 50th year anniversary that we're going to do a limited edition bat.
Yeah.
What's so special about this bat?
These bats, which are here, have been made from trees that my dad planted at the Yorkshire Showground in Harrogate in 1996. So these trees are literally nearly 30 years old, and the clefts that have come out of those are of the highest quality you can possibly get. So we decided that we would do 100 cricket bat limited edition as an homage to my father, really, based on the exact look of what they used to be all those years ago, when in 1976, and although the profiles are a little bit different now, because I don't think anybody would really be wanting to use a bat that was of the same profile as what it was in 1976, but the look and the image is pretty much identical to what it was when he first started. So from this I'm getting that Peter planted these trees, Yorkshire grown, Yorkshire made. We're going back to the roots of traditional, the first ever stickers 50 years ago, limited edition, and I think we spoke about the number one bat, which is here, the first one we've done. Have you decided what we're going to do with this one yet? Yeah, after giving it some thought, I think the best thing to do with the number one, I did sort of toy with the idea of keeping it as a legacy, but I think the best thing to do would be to either raffle it or auction it for one of the Alzheimer's charities.
So what we'll do is, in the YouTube video, we'll drop a link to where you can either buy a raffle or we'll auction it, and like I said, all the proceeds will go to dementia. This will be on public sale on the 1st of the new year, say?
Yep.
When we come back after Christmas. We have taken pre-order, so anyone that's pre-ordered will get in touch and arrange for you to come get early access and pick your very own bat and number it yourself. Going forward into 2026, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I don't know whether we have or we are, but is there anything different, anything new coming? You know, I know we've just recently started teamwear, but have you got anything out there you can think of that we're going to be doing differently, or?
For me, on the 5-year plan, a lot of the focus is going to be on generating set beds for future tree generation, and then focusing very much on all the income streams that the business now has, which will be obviously cricket bats, all the accessories that go with that, the pads, the gloves, the luggage, also our teamwear, as well as all our firewood business that we've now generated from all the waste product that we produce that we've never really done anything with before, that we're now utilising both our kilns to be able to do that.
So I think that's pretty much everything covered from us here. If you've got any other questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year from us at Kippax.